Hey guys, it's Kevin in the Murray for you guys, and of course this is going to be the final movie review of 2017 before, of course, I do my best list. And for the final movie review, I was really, trying to figure out what I wanted the final movie to be. When it really came down to it, I figured out of the last few movies coming out, this would be the best one to end with, and that is none other than Aaron Sorkin's highly anticipated film, Molly's Game. And what this film is essentially about is the incredible true story of Molly Bloom. One second she's this Olympic, sort of snowboarder. She's very good at it, but she ended up in this freak accident and, it severely damaged her spinal cord to the point where she couldn't really do that anymore. So after that, she started running these underground poker games and they became very popular in LA and New York. And she starts doing that until she is suddenly apprehended by the police. And now the rest of the film is her basically trying to prove her innocence, prove that, whatever she's being accused of, she is not guilty of these charges. And also her kind of examining her life in general. But that's really all I'm going to say. Molly's Game in general, to be honest with you, I saw the trailers, but I really didn't know what this movie was going to be. And that was fine to me. I knew it was going to be obviously Jessica Chastain. I knew it involved poker. I knew Idris Elba was in it. And I knew it was, Aaron Sorkin's big film. And that was enough for me. If I see the words Aaron Sorkin, Jessica Chastain, and Idris Elba, that's enough. I don't need any more information than that. And, I really didn't want to know too much about this. Similar to many of the last few films I've reviewed, I really did not know too much about Molly Bloom. And I was definitely very interested in, seeing how this played out. And I have to say, after seeing Molly's Game, I could not be more impressed. This is a fantastic movie that really does a very good job of showing who Molly Bloom was, also getting us to sympathize with her and all that kind of stuff. We're just getting into it right now, starting off with the cast. And right off the bat, that is definitely one of the best things about this film. I think, honestly, everyone was very well casted here. Of course, we have to first talk about Jessica Chastain as Molly Bloom, who, like I said, I think is perfectly casted. It's a tight race when it comes to Best Actress this year, but if Jessica Chastain is not up there, I would be very surprised because she absolutely kills it in this role. Molly Bloom, without spoiling it, she's not necessarily the greatest person ever. She definitely does make some questionable decisions throughout the film, but you're always on her side. You can always tell what she wants to do. She's someone who's very independent, but not in the sense where, oh, I'm an independent woman, I do whatever I want. No, she's been told to be independent. She's someone who, after having this freak accident, didn't really know where else she was going to go in life, and she had to make a whole life all on her own. And you really do see the life she made for herself and what she really did for herself after that. And I think, honestly, Jessica Chastain did a really great job here. There are points where you definitely sympathize with Molly, but then there are points where I'm like, wow, she honestly is really harsh. And you can see how passionate she is about this stuff. You can tell how she really did get there. I don't know if she's going to get nominated, but after this film, I think she definitely does have at least a chance because she definitely did a really great job here for sure. Idris Elba as well, I thought was definitely really great. I really did like his character in the film because he's someone who, yes, he is supporting Molly, but he isn't necessarily, think that she's completely innocent. He's trying to show her, how people perceived her. He's also kind of going through her book and realizing that she actually did change quite a few things. And he also is very similar to Molly in the sense of who he is as a father. This also gets Molly to kind of come to terms with her father, which we'll get to that in the writing, but the chemistry these two have is fantastic. I think they worked so well together, and I never knew how much I need to see Idris Elba and Jessica Chastain to film together, but they honestly work perfectly, and to the point where I really want to see them do another movie because they honestly had really great chemistry here, and I could have watched a whole movie of just these two in their back and forth dialogue because it's some of the best stuff in the entire film. They both do an incredible job. Idris Elba, I have not heard is getting any award consideration, but I think he definitely did a really great job here, and I was definitely very impressed with him. Someone who I don't think is getting talked about nearly as much as he should be is Kevin Costner in this movie as Molly's father is fantastic. I really love this character because yes, he is portraying that sort of hardened father who wants this and this from his daughter, and if she doesn't give him exactly what he wants, then he's not really pleased with her, and they don't really have that great of a future. However, you can tell where Costner is coming from. You can tell why he really feels this way towards Molly, and this fantastic scene towards the end when they're on a bench, which is easily one of the best scenes I've seen all year, perfectly illustrates, their very complex relationship. And like I said, I don't know if he's going to, but Kevin Costner, if there's any person that I would nominate besides Chastain, it'd be Kevin Costner. I think he's fantastic in this film. I think he did a really great job. He doesn't have like a ton to do in this movie, but for what he has, he's great here. And I really did love his performance. Rest of the cast here as well, I thought was great. I thought, honestly, everyone really did a great job. Michael Cera plays a very interesting role. He's playing this character named Player X, and at first I thought he was just playing himself, but he's actually not. Player X actually is sort of a placeholder for all the various celebrities that participated in these poker games, which there's quite a few, and, there are definitely some great Easter eggs throughout the film when it comes to that, and I thought he did a really great job taking that on. Chris O'Dowd plays this character who he's constantly drunk throughout the movie, and he's honestly a lot of fun to watch. Things get really dark with him towards the end, but he's definitely the comedic relief in the film, and he was a lot of fun for sure. Jeremy Strong's really good. Really, everyone in this movie really does kill it. Joe Keery shows up. Yes, Steve Harrington himself, he actually shows up in this movie, and I thought was really great. But now let's get to the directing and the writing, because that is definitely, I think, one of the biggest things drawing people to this film. Not just because of who's writing, but because of who's directing. Because, of course, Aaron Sorkin, yes, he's writing this movie, but he's also directing it. And I gotta say, for a directorial debut, this is really fucking good. I mean, he really understood this film very well. His tone especially is very well realized. This is a film that is at points very fun, but then there are moments that are very dramatic, and Sorkin really does do a good job of understanding the tone here. It's a bunch of different things, and I think it honestly works. It's both a sports movie combined with a courtroom drama, combined with a character drama. It's just a lot of different things. It's also a thriller, and I think, like I said, he did a really great job with the tone for sure. And again, for a directorial debut, it's definitely very well done. But the writing, of course, that's what people really want to see here, because let's, make no mistake here. Aaron Sorkin is, probably one of the best writers in cinema currently. I mean, every film I've seen him write is absolute perfection. Social Network, Steve Jobs, both of those had incredible screenplays, and it's no surprise that Molly's Game is another incredible screenplay. I thought he did just such a great job of conveying this dialogue, conveying these characters, because like I said, it's a very complex story of Molly Bloom. There's a lot of stuff that she's coming to terms with here. It's not just about her poker. It's also the fact of who she really is. Does she really have a life after this? If she has to give up all of this poker stuff, because I mean, all of her money was kind of taken away after this, and we really do focus on the fact of who is Molly Bloom really going to be if this really does go bad for her, if shit really does hit the fan. Does she really have some sort of purpose after this? And I thought, again, that whole thing was very well handled. I really like that angle to it, and it really got us to understand who Molly Bloom is. And we also get a lot of stuff with her home life as well, showing how constantly, we see how she was kind of jealous of her brothers because they were more idolized by her parents and she wasn't as favored by them. And we see how this also kind of affected her and how this made her who she is today. And like I said, it makes sense why she had to do all this on her own, because her parents just weren't very supportive. And I thought, again, that also was very interesting. So the writing is just so great when it comes to that stuff. And just seeing, like I said, the scenes between her and Idris Elba, what I really loved about his character is that he's a very similar father to how Molly's father was. He's someone who he believes in continuing to teach his daughter even when she's not in school. He's constantly giving her more work. He's giving her books to read. And the way these two kind of compare the similar parenting skills, his parenting skills with Molly's father's parenting skills, was honestly really great. It gave these two a really well done connection. It gave them a bigger connection than I think they could have had. It could have just been that he was the lawyer, but there definitely was a much more deeper connection there, and I definitely really did enjoy that overall. That was something I really did love about this film. And the film really does have a lot to say about really respecting yourself and respecting your roots and where you've come from. The fact that she is Jewish, the fact that she is certain things that she's not proud of, but she does kind of have to respect in this film. There's also a lot of narration throughout this film, and for some people, that can get kind of degrading and it can get annoying after a while because it doesn't really stop. But for this film, I thought it made a lot of sense because if you guys don't realize it, half of this movie is basically Molly's book, but us basically seeing Molly's book in a visual form because Molly Bloom did in fact write a book, which is referenced throughout the film. Like I said, Idris Elba's like calling her out on things, and I thought that was actually a really cool idea. It showed us what Molly's mindset was, you know, juxtaposed to what actually happened. There are things that Molly will say in a certain way, but they didn't really happen that way, or she maybe changed some of the dialogue, and it didn't seem like a big deal, but actually is a big deal, or, you know, something she plays for comedic effect isn't really comedic, and I just really love the way that's done. I always love it when you see different perspectives or you see something portrayed in one way and then there's a completely different account, and this film really turns that on its head in a really cool way, and I definitely really did enjoy that. You know, a lot of people could say there was a very Scorsese-like edge to this film, and I don't know if Sorkin is inspired by Scorsese, but the way the dialogue's done here, especially the narration effect, very much did feel that way, and that's something that I definitely really did appreciate. I really like the narration here. I will say, though, there is a couple flaws that I do have with the writing overall. This is not at all a perfect movie, and it really is, as you guys know, this film is very long, and I'll get to the editing in a little bit, but besides Molly Bloom and Idris Elba, and I'd say her father as well, the rest of the characters here don't really feel like characters. They feel very much like chess pieces. Like they're just another player who is in Molly's story, someone else who she came in contact with. They're playing poker, and they don't really have a conclusive arc. Now, as the film goes on, they do get more and more, but especially characters like Cera, for example, just don't really have a lot to do besides what they were intended. That's really it. There isn't really much of an arc with these characters, and is it really something that bothered me? No, but to be honest with you, I do wish we would have gotten just a little bit more with some of them, just giving them at least like maybe 2 or 3 more scenes each, and I would have been fine with that. You know, this is one of those films where characters are there and then they go away, and they're brought up again, but they're not really heard from again, and that's kind of it. Also, as good as I did like seeing Molly's past, similar to All the Money in the World, it is a bit choppy, and when we do get there, you know, at first it is a bit choppy, but it makes sense why it is that way, again, because it's supposed to be in the form of a book, stuff that Molly's kind of getting to quickly, and we then see in the present that this is a lot more poignant than we expected it to be, and I honestly really did enjoy the way that was done. Also, let me just say, cinematography here is fantastic. I really did love the cinematography. You know, you feel like you're in Vegas, you feel like you're in New York, you feel like you're in LA, and I thought those 3 locations were very well utilized. Also, similar to I, Tonya, a film I recently reviewed, the way that skiing is kind of its own character in this movie is definitely very well done, because this is really what gives Molly a purpose. It gives her, you know, it gives her a way to be loved and adored by many, and then when she's a poker player, it also gives her purpose, and I thought they just handled that very well here. The score, not much to say. It's nothing amazing or anything like that. The score is really not played a lot throughout this movie, and that's similar to most of Aaron Sorkin's films. You know, he doesn't really play a score a lot, and that's similar to this film. And the editing. This film is, in fact, very long. Yes, it is. It is over 2 hours, and I will admit there are some parts where I did feel the length. I will definitely say that there were some scenes where I really was feeling the length, but then those were always followed by scenes that very much did interest me and very much did keep me invested in the film. So it's a film where, yes, there are some scenes that do drag and things that probably could have been cut out, but I'm not upset that they weren't. I think that, you know, they were important scenes. I will say, though, the way this film does wrap up is honestly pretty much perfect. I really love the way things did end here. Again, it very much does feel like you're kind of watching a visual story of Molly's book, like she's telling you the story. It's like an audiobook where you're seeing it in a visual manner, and I thought that was honestly very well done. Molly's Game, like I said, it's a fantastic film. I really don't have too many complaints when it comes to this film overall. overall, I think it is definitely a film that I absolutely recommend you guys do check out. It has some very well done performances I think are definitely going to be considered for Oscars for sure. Definitely Jessica Chastain. I hope Kevin Costner at least has a chance because he's fantastic in this movie, but I don't think that he's gonna get it, unfortunately. It's got some brilliant directing and writing by Aaron Sorkin for sure. I really did love what he did in the film. It does have some scenes that, like I said, do drag on a little bit. It's got some characters that I maybe want a little bit more out of, but what we have here is fantastic. And what the narrative that we have is definitely very well done. What the film eventually does evolve into is really great, and I really did have a very good time with this film. And I am going to give Molly's Game overall an A. And with that, guys, I'm done. This is, like I said, the final review of 2017. I hope you guys enjoyed all my movie reviews throughout the year. Stay tuned because my next video will, in fact, be for my best list. I know you guys are very much looking forward to that. Once again, I know I've said it for the past 2 videos, but thank you again to 22 Tiger Dude, who has really gone out of his way to make these videos, you know, as edited as best as possible. He's cut out things. He's done everything he really can to make it seem like, you know, they were in fact my videos, and I very much do appreciate him doing that. But that's in my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie overall. Left your thoughts. But please see this movie if you haven't. I definitely do recommend it for sure. And I will see you guys in my next video, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.